Hello and welcome into the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. I am Hail Varsity recruiting extraordinaire Greg Smith, and I'm joined by football staff writer Steve Marik. When we're talking about quarterbacks, Steve, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Greg. Yeah, we University of Nebraska got another one last night, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They got good news last night on Tuesday night, depending on when you're watching this. When Massachusetts quarterback William Watson, he calls himself Pop. I don't want to say he calls himself, like he told me that that's his nickname. I assume there are other people in his life that call him Pop. I love that nickname. Pop Watson committed to Nebraska and made that announcement at halftime of his basketball game last night. He had a really nice 360 layup dunk. I don't know if you guys saw, he tweeted it out during the game. So athleticism is definitely not a problem. So Nebraska got their fifth commitment of the 2023 recruiting class on Tuesday night. They have a quarterback in the class. It's always a big deal when a quarterback joins in the class. So I guess, Steve, we'll start here, just kind of general. When the news popped, I guess, what was your kind of initial thoughts?
Yeah, no pun intended with Pop. Yeah, you're absolutely right. First of all, let's just get this out of the way. He has an incredible nickname. I mean, Pop Watson is incredible. It is A plus. I mean, it's something that a fan base can latch onto.
Right.
And if he ends up being like successful down the road, it's going to be the coolest thing ever at the University of Nebraska. Anyway, with that out of the way, what an athlete, right? Just pop on this guy's again. That wasn't even, I didn't even mean to do that. Just throw on his film, and it's really impressive. I mean, he's a true dual threat, right? The athleticism, like you said, is so easy to see. I mean, running is not going to be this kid's problem at all at the next level. He's an incredibly fluid runner, and he just looks very, very natural out there doing that. The one thing that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about, and I thought first of all, is obviously his size for a Big Ten quarterback. Is 6 foot, 180, 85 pounds kind of excite you as a fan? It raises some questions, obviously, just the size thing, but there have been other small quarterbacks to have success, before. So yeah, just first initial reaction is, wow, this kid can ball. He can run. He shows, a good throwing motion. He's accurate. Maybe not the biggest of the arm, but again, he's 6 foot, 180, and those are my initial takes with the commitment of Pop Watson.
Yeah, and I was right along there with you on that, because I think watching his film, like, you definitely, his athleticism and his ability to escape the pocket but also make throws on the run, I think was impressive on his huddle film. But I also think that the thing that sometimes you see when you end up having these quarterbacks that can really run is that they're not always the most accurate passers, right? I was really impressed by his passing accuracy, and I think that that's something. And even as we talk about, and you have to, his size, like that totally, to me, and how that does or doesn't work out for Nebraska down the road depends on how well they can protect him, right? And how much they can, and this will go for any quarterback that Nebraska has, to be honest. Like, Adrian had the size that you needed, but his body broke down because he was always getting hit, right? And so you end up in a situation where if Nebraska can protect him, and they can use the run as kind of a weapon, the quarterback run as a weapon and a bonus, and not the main feature of the run game. They can keep him clean in the pocket so he can make quick, accurate throws to a growing, like, receiver group. The thing is and it all works together, right? Nebraska's receiving core, and a tight end room for that matter, just continues to get better and better. So if you can get the offensive line component of it right, then I think that you give you that any quarterback that you're going to bring in a better chance at succeeding, especially a quarterback that has the size, I guess, deficiencies that Pop Watson has, right? But I think that there's a lot to like about this pickup for Nebraska. And one of the really interesting kind of wild cards in all of this, and I think driving forces of the whole thing, is the relationship that Watson and offensive coordinator Mark Whipple have, going back to what Watson told me was his sixth grade year, but dating back to when he was going to camps at UMass and Whipple was there. Whipple offered him at UMass. Whipple then went to Pitt and offered him. I've been told that if Whipple was still at Pitt, that Watson would be going to Pitt. So that's how how strong that relationship is, and how much Whipple seems to believe in Watson, which has to count for something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was clear that relationship with Pop and Mark Whipple. I mean, the kid really likes Mark Whipple, and how can you not? Just the track record that Mark has coming to Nebraska after what he accomplished at Pitt. But yeah, it was fairly evident that just listening to him with his commitment video that he was like, very excited about the possibility of playing under Mark Whipple, and he's got a good reason for it, just from what Kenny Pickett did and Pitt's offense last year. It's, playing for an offensive coordinator like Mark Whipple, who has 40 plus years of coaching experience. You got to love every bit about that. Plus what Scott Frost's offenses have done in the past too. It's for a kid like that, for an athlete at the quarterback position, like Pop Watson is, it's got to really excite him.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Frost offense element of this, because
Yeah.
while it has not been, as the wins have not been what everybody wants them to be here in Nebraska, they're definitely, you can't say that the quarterback has not put up numbers during Frost time, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like if you think Nebraska should lean a little bit differently, especially in the run game on that, if you're a young quarterback, and you do see that combination of, hey, the head coach has a long track record of having successful quarterbacks in his offense. The new offensive coordinator also has a good track record of developing quarterbacks. I already have a relationship with him as well in the case of Pop Watson. You can understand how this came to be, right? Like you kind of see it. And it'll be really interesting to see it all kind of play out. And it's always a good thing to me when you get a quarterback in your recruiting class this early, because now that kind of, and we felt this a little bit the last two recruiting cycles, and it sounds like it was not late per se, but when you have, I think Harper committed in May and Torres committed in June, that ends up becoming a storyline through the spring and the summer about, oh, when is Nebraska going to get their quarterbacks? As if you notice, quarterbacks go really early, right? Like they commit very early. So now Nebraska being back on track with that, I think is a really nice thing moving forward with their recruiting.
Yeah, for sure. And good point on mentioning Heinrich and Richard, because that's another kind of thing I wanted to talk about. Again, I don't want to keep harping on Pop's size here, but it is interesting to kind of write down a lot of the Frost quarterback recruits and just look at their body types specifically. I'm kind of weird and I'm really enjoy that stuff. So Adrian Martinez, 6'2", 215, 220, kind of fluctuated throughout his career. Casey Thompson bringing in that Texas transfer, contender to start this fall, 6'1", 200 pounds. Logan Smothers, 6'2", 195. Chubba Purdy coming in from Florida State, Brock Purdy's little brother, 6 foot, 210. But then the most recent quarterback recruits, high school recruits, Richard Torres, and then before him, the year before, Heinrich Harburg. Both those guys are 6'5" and around 200 pounds. So they do not look like what Pop Watson looks like. And that's just kind of it shows you it gives you kind of a glimpse, I guess, of what they were thinking, what Nebraska's staff was thinking in previous years recently, with the kind of quarterback they want and what they want to do on offense. But then and enter Whipple into the fray here, and now he likes what he likes, and he obviously likes Pop Watson, a 6 foot, 180 pounder, just a different looking quarterback than Heinrich and Richard is. So that part is also interesting to me.
Yeah, which is why it'll be really like fun to see, and it won't be until like next December, to see what it was that Frost and Whipple really liked about Watson. And I guarantee that a version of what you just said in a question is going to come up is, hey, these last two guys that you recruited look nothing like Pop Watson, your quarterback for the 23 class. What was it about him that drew you to him? And that's going to be, fun when we actually get to see that. It stinks that we have to wait all the way until December because it's a rules to see when they actually talk about that. But that'll be fun to kind of see once we get there, because I do think that it makes a really interesting and kind of unique mix of quarterbacks that are in the room, because you've got some different body types. Usually you have that in like a wide receiver room, right? You don't necessarily see that at your quarterbacks. Usually they all are pretty similar because you know what you're running.
Yeah, absolutely. And Greg, I wanted to ask you something, if we can. So 2023 class in Nebraska is setting up to be a really good one. but also in the surrounding states, quarterback wise. So I just wanted to throw some names at you. JJ Cole, kid from Acme, Iowa. Avery Johnson from Kansas, and then Zane Flores from Gretna. Those are all 2023 quarterbacks. Nebraska just got their 2023 quarterback with Pop Watson. Just with those three, what's next for them? What's moving forward with them next?
Yeah, I think that it's a situation where I think that Nebraska really liked Avery Johnson, the quarterback out of Kansas. I think it was a too little too late type of a situation. I think that I think Johnson and his family liked the Huskers, but they just got in too late. That one is the one to me that's going to be a little weird moving forward as to why Nebraska, when under the previous iteration of the offensive staff, did not look, a little bit away to Kansas to recruit him before the coaching change happened, because I think that in the end probably cost them a real legitimate shot with Avery Johnson. With JJ Cole, I think that I like him as a quarterback prospect. I still maintain, and I've written this a bunch, that he's going to end up somewhere in the Big Ten because he just feels like that kind of a kid. It wouldn't shock me if he ends up at Iowa, right? He feels like an Iowa quarterback. And so you're going to see more of him probably down the road. But I just wonder about the ultimate fit in Scott Frost's offense and in Mark Whipple's offense, and whether or not Scott Frost was willing to go all the way from a more athletic type of quarterback to a more like Iowa style, more very traditional pocket passer quarterback, right? And then with Zane Flores, to me, this is going to be the thing we're talking about for the rest of this recruiting cycle. As he continues to pick up offers, what seems like daily, specifically from the Big 12, people are going to wonder why Nebraska isn't even really talking to him. It's not just that they haven't offered him, which they haven't. Like I'm consistently told that there's not really a lot of conversation there between Nebraska and Zane Flores. I do not know why. The Huskers don't really seem to be going out of their way to recruit him. But that just kind of is what it is at this point. And I think it raises a fair question of, if you have a quarterback in Gretna that is getting Power 5 offers from a couple of pretty good, well-respected like offensive coaches at that, why you had to then go to Massachusetts to get a quarterback that also has some size concerns. That's not me necessarily even saying that. I think that that's going to be the same conversation around this, and ultimately it's going to kind of link this group of quarterbacks, right? People are always going to be looking to see, well, hey, what happened to JJ Cole? Like, where does he go? If he goes to Iowa, like, is he going to be 3-1 in his career against Nebraska? Like, is Zane Flores going to go to Kansas, then have a really productive career? Like, I think that that's going to be a thing moving forward for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. It's a thing. It's going to be officially a thing, I think.
There's always one of them, but honestly, there's always one of those in state per year, right? Last year it was a big one because it was, hey, the top kids in Omaha are not like even considering Nebraska. This year it's, hey, Nebraska's refocused on all of in-state recruiting, and they're doing a good job with the kids that they've offered. They may get all 5 of them. But then there's the quarterback that they just kind of skipped over. I think that's going to end up, there's always something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you said about maybe Husker fans just keeping tabs on those 3, JJ Cole, Avery Johnsons, and Zane Flores, wherever they end up going, just down the road. 3 years from now, are we going to be comparing stats from those those kids?
Which would be fun.
Yeah, it always makes for fun banter and content. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, hey, that'll do it for us. And speaking of content, make sure you continue to look through the Hail Varsity YouTube page here. We've got plenty of content. Pop Watson's recruitment. Irish Sports Daily helped us out with some really good video content from last night from his announcement. Also check out hailvarsity.com. We'll have continued coverage of Nebraska's latest pickup. And also we've got spring football starting here, in less than a week, right?
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. It's back. I see that smile from Steve. It's back. Football is here. I gotta call that out. But make sure you're keeping it locked on hailvarsity.com for all of your Husker coverage needs. We will talk to you guys later.